Got JP there. Hello, JP. Good morning. Mr. Kehoe, Mr. Lugo, good morning. Mr. Moore, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello, Alan. Keith, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Pryor.
Morning, Mr. Santos. Kryman. Mr. Popowich. All right, looks like
morning.
we got a pretty good audience to go ahead and get started. So this is the regular Board of Retirement meeting for April 6, 2022. And I'm calling the meeting to order. If we could have a roll call of trustees. Oh,
Oh, sorry. I thought I was unmuted.
happens to the best of us. believe me.
Promise I clicked the mute button. Okay. Thank you, Chair Pryor. So I will go ahead and do a roll call now to confirm attendance. Mr. Knox,
Good morning, I'm here.
Ms. Gray,
Morning.
Mr. Santos. I'll come back to you, Mr. Santos. Mr. Sanchez will not be joining us today. Mr. Moore.
I'm here, buddy.
Thank you.
I'm
very
here.
much. Thank you very much. Mr. Kehoe,
Present.
Mr. Robbins,
I'm here.
Mr. Harris,
Here.
Ms. Sabanta, Mr. Bernstein.
Mr. Ponta mentioned to me she was not going to be able to make it today, and
Okay,
I am here.
thank you very much. And Chair Pryor.
Good morning. Did you get Mr. Santos chimed in later, said he was here?
Yes, I do have a
Okay.
marked present.
You got him
Sta-
present?
Great, yes. Staff participating in the meeting includes CEO Santos Kryman, Deputy CEO Louis Lugo, Assistant Executive Officers JJ Popowich and Laura Guglielmo, CIO John Grable, Chief Counsel Stephen Rice, Senior Staff Counsels Frank Bear, Mike Herrera, and Fern Billingy. Disability litigation staff include Vincent Lim, Allison Barrett, Jason Waller, and Eugenia Durr. Staff and managers participating today include Carly Matoya, Kathy Delino, Ted Granger, Barry Liu, Cassandra Smith, Ricky Contreras, Tamara Caldwell, Vicky Neely, Carrie Wilson, Hernan Barrientos, Ricardo Salinas, Richard Bendel, Carlos Barrios, Alan Cochran, and Bernie Buenaflor. We also have LACERA's medical advisor, Dr. Glenn Arisman, joining us today. Trustees, please use the Zoom chat option to be placed in the queue. At this time, we ask all meeting participants to mute their mics until you are ready to speak, and now we may proceed with the agenda.
Thank you, Ms. Nolly. And first order of business will be to approve the minutes of March 2nd of 2022. Do I have a motion?
I'll move the minutes.
Mr. Bernstein, second by Mr. Robbins. Roll call, please.
Mr. Knox,
Aye.
Ms. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Santos,
Aye.
Mr. Moore,
Aye.
Mr. Kehoe.
Aye.
Mr. Robbins,
Aye.
Mr. Bernstein.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. Second item of business will be is public comment. I received no written comments, and I received no request for public comment unless I've missed something.
That is correct.
Great. So let's go on to other communications. We're at item 4 or number 4, item A. And who's going to take this one? Mr. Popowich?
That is me. So thank you
right.
very much. This is the time of the month when we recognize our all-stars. This is a selection of individuals who have been nominated by their peers for going above and beyond, helping each other and helping our members. And so you'll see pictures on the screen. Our all-stars for this month are Celeste Burke, David Beha, Alex Yin, Vanessa Cruz, and Ha Sai. And we thank them all for everything that they've done. I'd like to take a moment. I'm going to single out Celeste Burke just for a moment. We recently went through a major migration of some systems equipment, and Mr. Burke, among many others in systems, spent a lot of time helping staff work out some of the kinks. And so I really wanted to thank him for everything, and thank everybody in the systems division for all their hard work on that migration. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And second, item number 2 is Chief Executive Officer's report, Mr. Kryman.
Yes. Let me unmute myself. There we go. Chair Pryor, trustees, good morning. Wanted to, in addition to the information that's provided in the CEO report, I just wanted to highlight a couple of other items. I'm going to ask Mr. Lugo to talk a little bit about March Madness and the efforts of our staff and the great work that they've been doing trying to get our members retired. And so first of all, let me just say that that yesterday, the Board of Supervisors approved the appointment of Ms. Onyx Jones to serve on the Board of Investments as the second district appointee. Ms. Jones currently serves as the Assistant City Manager for Culver City, where she previously served as the Chief Financial Officer. We plan to reach out to Ms. Jones following this meeting to welcome her to the LACERA family and to begin her orientation in preparation for her participation at the Board of Investments meeting next week. I'll be sending a communication to all BOI trustees and BOR trustees this afternoon, informing them about Ms. Jones's appointment, and will provide contact information, which I'm in the process of obtaining. Second item is late yesterday afternoon, I did finally receive the 2022 LACERA election calendar from the executive office of the Board of Supervisors. While the election calendar has a lot of internal touch points and deadlines for making sure that the election runs smoothly, I wanted to highlight some very important dates for you. And I will be providing the trustees a memo this afternoon that provides the information I'm going to give to you in terms of the important dates that I think are you all should know about. So the registrar recorder will make the nomination packages available to candidates on or around May 6th. The candidate filing period will begin on May 19th and will run for 30 days. The filing period will end on June 17th. The registrar recorder will certify the eligible candidate list between June 20th and June 24th. The election vendor will begin mailing and emailing voting credentials to active safety members on August 3rd. The e-voting period will begin on August 5th and will run through August 31st. Candidates will be notified of the election results by September 9th. The deadline to file a protest or request a recount of the election results will be September 15th. The Board of Supervisors intend on certifying the election on October 18th at their public board meeting. Again, I'm going to send you all the schedule that I just outlined for you so that you have it available to you. We'll also post these deadlines on our LACERA webpage as well. Once I have a meeting scheduled with the executive office sometime next week, and to talk about logistics and communication plans and some of the lessons learned on the last election. So one of the things, Trustee Harris, that you'll be happy to know is that they will be sending confirmations to all of our members once they vote. So they'll be confirmed with an email that they have voted, which was one of the issues that we had last election. So with that, I'd like Mr. Lugo to talk a little bit about our March Madness activities. So it's all yours, Mr. Lugo.
Thank you, Santos. Good morning, Chair Pryor, trustees. As Santos stated, I wanted to just provide a brief highlight in terms of our March Madness. Some of this information is highlighted within our CEO report as well as our Operations Oversight Committee report. But we reference this as March Madness due to the fact that we have a large spike of members filing for benefits before the April COLA announcement or effective date. we're seeing actually the spike is before March. We've seen a spike really the latter part of 2021. Prior to 2022, our average call volume was about 13 to 14,000. We referenced this in our reports. Over the last 3 months, our average call volume is nearly 20,000, over 53% increase. And our top reasons for individuals calling is really retirement counseling, process overview, requesting estimates, as well as plan overview. So oftentimes these calls don't materialize to actual filings, retirement elections, but needless to say, we have our members planning well in advance. Right now, we have a class 2 retirement benefits class that we've onboarded since January, about 24 retirement benefit specialists that will be fully trained by fall of 2022. So the support that we're looking at is still out, but JJ and his team, the member operations group, we are working through some alternatives in terms of addressing the high call volume, one of which is overtime. We're also looking at some options on our IVR as it relates to wait time, and we'll talk a little bit about that in our OOC briefing. Also, in terms of retirement applications, over the last 3 years, we've averaged about 3,200 elections, about 3,293. This year so far, we're at 3,261. So we're going to exceed our average annual elections by, we anticipate between 300 to 600 elections more than what we've experienced over the last 3 years. So certainly the member operations group, as well as retiree healthcare, Cassandra talked about that at our last IBL meeting last month. Just all across the board, all of our member-facing components are seeing an increase in service demand. So we're responding accordingly. We'll see what April holds if these call volumes as well as applications hold true in terms of our upward trend. But I wanted to give the trustees an overview in terms of what we're currently dealing with as it relates to call volume and increase in applications. With that, certainly stand for any questions, as well as JJ is available for any specific questions related to some of the service increases.
Right. I just want to mention that in addition to the heavy workload in the member services side, on the pension side, the retiree healthcare also has been incredibly busy working through things. And so we had a really good meeting yesterday, or I had a really good meeting yesterday with Cassandra and her group. A lot of the questions that are coming through retiree healthcare are individuals that are having difficulty filling out specific forms. So what we're going to do is prepare or fill out a Jane Doe form so that we can post it and send it to our members. That way they can try to help themselves in terms of filling out the applications rather than being on the phone and walking them through every single step and making sure that they fill out the form properly. But we'll send it out to them. They can try to fill it out. If they have questions, they can call back and we'll help them at that point in time. So we think that will be a time saver for our retiree healthcare folks. So she's working on that now. And we'll look at trying to do other similar things to help with the volume and the throughput in our other areas as well. So with that, I'm more than happy to stand up for questions.
Go ahead, Ms. Gray.
Thank you. I appreciate your report. More importantly, I appreciate that quiet period list. However, I would ask that the investment quiet period list should be included because all of us, attend various conferences and there are marketers there, asset managers. So I think it's important that we know so that if we are, networking or interacting, we're not violating any quiet period restrictions.
Okay, we will make that adjustment.
Thank you.
Seeing no other hands. Last call. Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate the updates. That brings us to consent items A through E. I have not received any requests to pull consent items,
I'll move them.
but I do need a motion. I have a motion Kehoe,
Second.
second Robbins. Call the roll, please.
Mr. Knox,
Aye.
Ms. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Santos,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe,
Aye.
Mr. Robbins,
Aye.
Mr. Bernstein.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously by all trustees present. Chair Pryor, would you like to go back to the consent calendar?
So what?
It's passed now, right?
So for the disability retirement applications on the consent
Oh,
calendar,
I'm sorry. Yeah, I missed the disability retirement applications for consent calendar. So if we could get those out, please. That was item 5. So the consent calendar for disability retirements, starting with law enforcement safety for SCD. This will be pages 1 and 2. We have applications 655D through 670D.
I'll move them.
Second.
We have a motion by Kehoe, second by Robbins.
okay, Mr. Knox,
Aye.
Ms. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Santos,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe,
Aye.
Mr. Robbins,
Aye.
Mr. Bernstein.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And page 3, safety, fire and lifeguards, starting with 1458 Bravo through 1465B Bravo. Page,
I'll move them.
a motion Bernstein,
Second.
second by Ms. Gray.
Mr. Knox,
Aye.
Ms. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Santos,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Robbins,
Aye.
Mr. Bernstein,
Aye.
Chair Pryor.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
We have pages 4 and 5. These are general members, service-connected disability. This will be 2359 through 2371, with excluding 2365C. Christy Rodriguez has been pulled by applicant's attorney. Is that correct, Ms. Nolly?
That was pulled by staff for further development. Yes.
Okay. So we have one pulled case, but we have 2 cases pending SCD on the consent calendar.
I'll move them without that one case.
Second.
We have a motion in a second.
Great, Mr. Knox,
Aye.
Ms. Gray,
Yes.
Mr. Santos,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Aye.
Mr. Robbins,
Aye.
Mr. Bernstein. The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And we are on page 6, the final page of consent calendar. And this is general member NSCD. And this is one case 4414 Andre Perez.
So moved.
We have a motion by Ms. Gray,
Keith, I'll second.
and we have a second.
Mr. Knox,
Aye.
Ms. Gray,
Aye.
Mr. Santos,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Aye.
Mr. Kehoe,
Aye.
Mr. Robbins,
Aye.
Mr. Bernstein.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you. And any other consent items that I forgot about?
No, we are ready to.
All right. We have non-consent calendar. We have 2 items. This is item 8A, recommended by Mr. Beasley, supervising admin 2, that the board approve professional services agreement with Alliant Insurance Services to to serve as LACERA's insurance broker, and attached is a memo from March 23rd.
I'll move the item.
We do have a motion. I'm
Second,
not, we have a motion and a second. Is there a presentation for this
No,
issue? No?
But staff is available for any questions.
All right, you heard it. If you have any questions for staff, please chime in. If not, we will move on.
Okay, Mr. Knox,
Aye.
Ms. Gray,
yes.
Mr. Santos,
Yes.
Mr. Moore,
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe,
Aye.
Mr. Robbins,
Aye.
Mr. Bernstein. The motion passes unanimously by all trustees present.
Thank you. And that brings us to non-consent item number 2, which is section 8B, recommendation that the board approve attendance of trustees at the Women's Alliance of Saxena White First Annual Diversity Investing Symposium. And this is on May 5th, 2022, and reimbursement of all travel costs to trustees attending. Is there a motion?
Keith, I'll move.
Is that a motion?
Second.
Motion by Mr. Knox. I didn't see. Did you
Mr.
catch-
Moore, second.
Motion-
Mr. Chair, may I speak?
Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
So yesterday, the Board of Supervisors unanimously approved a travel ban for the states of Texas and Florida. And while I don't think that mandates that we follow action, and while it does create a carve out for critical conferences, for me personally, I don't think this conference, although worthy, is critical. I also would note, I think it's actually more than half a day of attendance, because I think the evening program should count. So that's not a concern of mine. If my colleagues in their discretion think it's critical, I don't want to fight it. I just plan to abstain from this vote.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments?
Question, Mr. Chair, to Mr. Bernstein's point, has this happened before? I know we've had other travel issues with Arizona and I think Georgia at one point on the county side. Have we dealt with this at LACERA before?
I have not seen the language of the Board of Supervisors motion. I would think that it would sort of come down to the minutia of what it says. Mr. Kryman, any light to shine on this issue?
I have not read the board motion. I'm sorry. I heard that they had done it, but I don't know the particulars. I would have to get back to you. So if you give me some time, I can research it right now.
I think we can include in this motion that if it's not allowed by county ordinance, then we would have to revisit it. Mr. Santos.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I respectfully disagree. I think the Board of Supervisors cannot dictate what we do, what we don't do. So whether or not they pass an ordinance yesterday, that's irrelevant to us. We need to do our own analysis and refer the matter to an appropriate committee to discuss that, whether or not perhaps it's the Education and Travel Committee that deals with this matter. But we cannot be taking direction from anybody else except whatever we determine is in the best interest of the organization.
Thank you, and I appreciate that position, but I also would like to say I think that should be investigated by LACERA Legal to make sure that we have a good stance on that. I don't want to see unnecessary conflict if it's not necessary. Anyways, Sean.
Yeah, I just want to say I agree with Mr. Santos's comments. I think we have had these discussions before in the past, and the decision is that this is ultimately an independent body, so we have to make those decisions on our own if we're going to restrict it. I respect the request to have legal look into that. There's nothing wrong with that, but I believe that was the determination in the past, and I stand by that. So ultimately, the board has to decide, and this board to date has not done a travel ban that I'm aware of.
Thank you. And again, my comments were specifically that I think that we need to have some kind of review over our motion before anybody travels, just to make sure that we don't have any problems. Mr. Bernstein.
I just want to clarify my comments because I think they may have been misunderstood. I don't think the county's actions mandate that we can't do this, but it was a unanimous decision of a pretty broad spectrum of 5 supervisors. And I think it merits concern. I also, from what I've read, do believe that for critical conferences, it would be allowed. I would note this is an ESG related conference, and I did chair for the past 3 years our corporate governance committee. I think it's a very worthy conference, but for me personally, it did not rise to the level of critical. I respect my colleagues' decisions. I intend to abstain, but I do think that when discussing minority conferences, such as we're discussing here, the impacts on LGBTQ are not irrelevant. I do absolutely think that we have the authority to approve this. That's all.
Mr. Knox.
Would it be appropriate for me to amend my original motion to approve this? You know, it certainly predates yesterday's motion, the request, and I'm fine moving the approval of the item to incorporate your piece, Mr. Pryor, which was just to have council review it just to see, you know, and you can phrase that how you did. And I think you did it perfectly well, just to incorporate that piece as well.
Okay, I don't think there's going to be any objection to that being included in the original motion. Does the second approve?
Yeah, I seconded it, and I would just like to see us approve it. And if it's subject to some restriction after the review, then we have a problem. But the conference is on May 5th. So it's like we won't be meeting again. And what about the Board of Investments? You know, they can opine on this too. And since we can approve whatever we want to approve, I'm okay with the amendment as long as the amendment doesn't cause a restriction.
No, and I'll say specifically, my amendment is not meant to cause a and that's why I made it the way I did. I don't think we need to bring this back to another meeting. I think that it's, yeah, time is definitely, we need to approve this soon. So, yeah.
Right. And then given the circumstances in Florida and all the legislation that, you know, the County Board of Supervisors is probably pushing back on, I think this kind of conference is a way for those participants to push back also. So I'm okay with the amendment.
Yeah. I agree with that. And you're right. Sometimes they'll bring lots of cameras to conferences like this and get many interesting comments about the state of affairs in Florida. So,
yeah.
Mr. Santos.
As a point of information, Mr. Chair, the Board of Investments already approved this
Okay.
conference, and there was no discussion at the time because I
Should have
believe
been prior to the Board of Supervisors motion as well. So
2 months ago, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Chair Pryor.
Yes. Hello. Good morning, Mr. Rice.
Good morning. I have reviewed the motion from yesterday's meeting at the Board of Supervisors, and it doesn't purport to limit LACERA travel. I do agree with the comments from those trustees who indicated that the Board of Supervisors would not have the authority to limit LACERA travel. That would be something that the boards would have the authority to address, not the Board of Supervisors. But I have reviewed the motion. There's no issue in any event.
Excellent. Well, there you have it.
It's done.
Done. I like it. All right. So that brings us, we have a motion. We have a second. That brings us to a vote. I'm seeing no other comments.
Mr. Knox.
Aye.
Ms. Gray.
Aye.
Mr. Santos.
Yes.
Mr. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Kehoe.
Aye.
Mr. Robbins.
Aye.
Mr. Bernstein.
As noted, I'll abstain.
Great. We have 6 yeses and 1 abstention.
Thank you. That brings us to item 9, reports. We have A through F, 6 items for report, but all are FYI. So unless we have any questions for staff regarding any of the reportable items.
Move it.
We have a motion. I don't know if we need, do we need a motion?
We don't need a motion nor a vote for the reports that are FYI.
Receive and file.
Well, we got one anyways, just in
Yeah,
case.
receive and file, man.
It's motion to receive and file. Without objection, so ordered. How's that? All right, so item 10 is item for staff review. I've been presented nothing. And, oh, I'm sorry.
My apologies. Yes, we do have an item from Ms. Gray that she requested that staff look into providing the investment quiet list on the CEO report. We do provide it in Board Vantage and it's quite extensive, but maybe we can also consider emailing as a reference, and we'll take a look if we can consolidate that to the CEO report. So that is one item for items for staff review.
Chair Pryor, one additional comment on that is that it is attached to the CIO's report, which is in every Board of Investments meeting package. So the information is out there in a couple of different formats. And as Mr. Tryman said, we'll look into making sure that it's easily accessible to members of this board.
Maybe it can also be mailed out in our Board Vantage package as well. Because I don't get the Board of Investments full packets. All right, and we'll consider that a receive and file. That brings us to good of the order.
Okay, starting with Mr. Knox.
Good morning. Property tax deadline day is Monday, the 11th. We have 1 extra day this year because it falls on a Sunday. Congratulations.
Thank you, Ms. Gray.
I have nothing. Thank you. Oh, I do have something. Yesterday, I had the opportunity to watch the retirement workshop that we do virtually, and I was really impressed with it. It was done in conjunction with Empower, and it was very informative. I think that it's something that all of our members should watch. I understand that right afterwards or next week, they will have a retiree healthcare webinar for everyone. And I would encourage everyone to watch that as a county employee. But I'd like to say that I forget her name, Mr. Tafoya and Maritza and Miss Leong. I hope I'm pronouncing her name. They did a very, very good job. And I'd just like to commend them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Santos.
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Moore.
Yes, I would like to recognize Mr. Louis Geitens, one of our staff in the retirement division. And he's been working with me and another nonprofit that I sit on the board of on a financial literacy program for high school students. And Louis prepared the module that we have on retirement targeting high school students and did a great job with pictures and videos and data that explains how retirement is something that you start thinking about early and planting seeds for our young people. So I want to recognize them for that. And we're actually going to be starting making the presentations on the 16th of April and the 7th of May. And we have one date in June that we're working on. And this is a Saturday program. So he's giving up his time on Saturday, and he's given up a lot of his time, his personal time working on this presentation for us. So I want to thank him and mention that to the board.
Thank you. Mr. Kehoe.
I have nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Robbins.
Just to echo what Vivian said, you're absolutely right on, Vivian. Those workshops are just monumentally important, and you know, some of the stuff, some of the questions that I get asked by people about to retire or people who are retired, or especially the ones that are about to turn 65 and, you know, have to be confronted with Social Security and Medicare, it's pretty mind numbing. And Mr. Knox talked about paying the property taxes, and I'm about to write a rather substantial check for my income tax. Thank you, Donald John Trump, when you change some of those rules and regulations. But when you take money out of a 401k or a 457, I thought I was pretty smart, and I put enough aside to cover the taxes. What I didn't put aside was the fact that it was going to bump me up into the next tax category, and being a guy who never pays anything and having to write a check for $8 grand was sucked on steroids. So, and of course, I'm going to get killed in January of next year when my MAGI is adjusted up and my Part B premium goes up another $50, $75, $100 a month too. So all things to think about, and I should be smarter than the average retiree out there. But and on this stuff, I think I am. But you just gotta be prepared for some of this stuff. I think the age of 72 now, where you have to start moving money out of your the IRS changed that, and I think it's 72. And you got to move money. So when you got to move that money, you're going to pay taxes on it. And it's going to show up on your modified adjusted gross income. Thank you very much. So anyway, other than that, life is good and retirement is gooder. So
Hey, that's the big issue, Les. I'll talk to you about that. Oh.
Thank you. Mr. Harris?
Nothing. Thank you very much.
Mr. Bernstein?
Nothing, thank you.
Laura Guglielmo? Okay. Louis Lugo?
Nothing, just again, good morning, everyone.
JJ Popovich?
I just want to take a moment to recognize all of the benefits and member services staff and retiree healthcare staff that have been working to get everybody retired. It was a busy year. There was a rush and a spike, which Mr. Lugo mentioned earlier, and I just want to thank staff for all of their hard work. There's a lot of effort over time and diligence put into them to this time of the year, and I thank them all for everything that they do. Thank you.
can I just jump in on that for just a second? And I know with COVID and everybody working remotely, we're not getting to phone calls as quickly as we used to. But I think we're doing a lot better job than some. I had an occasion this past week to make a phone call to Alaska Airlines to change a reservation. I was on hold for 7 hours. And when 7 hours, it was crazy. They said the wait time is approximately 7 hours, so you could leave your phone number, they'd call you back. Well, they called at like 2:30 in the morning, you know, when you're asleep. But dealing with some of my medical issues lately, some of the call centers and people that I have to talk to at some of these places, I mean, 30-minute wait times are just run of the mill now. So I think all things considered, we're doing a pretty damn good job.
Thank you, Mr. Robbins. I appreciate that. I will say too, we've talked about where we're at with our core benefits training class. We're down about 8 to 10 people in our call center in member services, for example. And that's part of the reason, including the increase in the number of calls that we got. But I really appreciate that. We try very hard to put as many people on the phones as we can and get to them as quickly as we can. We also are beta testing. I know Mr. Lugo is going to mention this probably in the oversight committee, but we are also beta testing a message that lets people know how long the wait time is so that they can sort of budget. Eventually, when we get to be more fully staffed, we'll look at that type of callback and see whether we'll be able to support those types of features as well. But thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Steve Rice?
On the subject of March Madness, I wanted to recognize Fern Billingy and her team in the benefits section of legal. They're involved in the throes of March Madness with the benefits team and member services and other member-facing divisions. And she's suffered this year from a retirement and a leave. So her team has been working weekends and overtime to meet the demands of March Madness. So they're not always included in the March Madness team, but they're in the heart of it. So thanks to Fern and her group.
Thank you. Santos Kryman?
Yes, I don't know if Laura got an opportunity to talk, but I do want to not only recognize my member services staff and the line staff, but the support staff, I think, also deserve a lot of credit for making sure that our phones are operating properly and that the technology is working properly. In the middle of March Madness, we did transition over our tenant server, which was a major lift. Human resources working incredibly hard. I know that Mr. Rice had made an offer to 2 new attorneys. I know that Cassandra made a couple of offers to 2 new staff members as well. And so we're moving in the right direction. We've been working with Mr. Grable and trying to get the investment staff on board. I think we have a really good plan moving forward, and things are starting to happen very quickly. And so I do want to recognize all of the support staff, from the procurement people. Our budget people have done an outstanding job. I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised on the quality of the budget document, which I'm reviewing now. By the way, it's 284 pages, and so get ready for that. So all in all, I think we're moving in a really good pace, good direction. We're really looking forward to the strategic planning effort that we're going to partner with the trustees. I think that as we move forward, we're going to be able to do some incredible things together. And so with that, I think Laura, you may want to say something. I don't know. I think we missed you, right?
Oh, I was just muted. Thank you, Mr. Kryman. Mr. Kryman makes a point, support staff sometimes are behind the scenes, people don't see them, but they are the key and core to making sure that our member services and the service to our members is excellent. So we try to look at our customer service as an organization. Our member facing folks are providing the best possible customer service to our members. Our support staff are providing the best possible customer service to our internal customers, which has a direct impact on that. And that's the attitude we have, and that we're trying to impart, and making sure we're supporting everyone as best we can. Our DPC group, March Madness means more contact, more pieces of paper that are flying through that group as well. Those folks are on site. They've been on site through this whole pandemic. And they come to work every day and process all of the information that we need to have processed for our members. So we do really appreciate them as well. And our challenge with hiring, part of the issue here is our aging workforce and the retirements. We are losing more folks than to attrition than we're able to hire, and that's happening at the county too. And then so those retirees are then now are going through our member services and our benefits to get those services as well. So we get sort of a double whammy on this great resignation here at LACERA. So our folks are doing the best to accommodate that, and we appreciate it.
And finally, I just wanted also to recognize our investment staff as well. They've done a tremendous job, managing and safeguarding the funds and making incredible recommendations. And so I know that they're working very hard with the Ukraine situation that really caused a lot of high-level stress on their side. And so I just wanted to compliment Mr. Grable, who's not here today, but him and his staff have done a wonderful job as well. And so the organization as a whole has done outstanding in my estimation, and not saying that there's not areas that we can improve on, because we are always thinking about simplifying and improving things as we go. So with that, Chair Pryor, I appreciate the opportunity to recognize my staff. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
lastly,
And
Chair Pryor.
thank you. And I just wanted to recognize all management and staff members getting through these last couple of months. I know from talking to you all that it's time to gear up and get busy, and a lot of extra work, a lot of overtime, a lot of phone calls, and being busy, really busy at work. And it's not lost on the board, and we definitely appreciate your efforts. So thank you again, and that's all I have. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to clear the room for the disability retirements.
Thank you. At this time, staff not participating in the closed session, you may be dismissed. If you're participating in OOC, you'll be notified when to join the meeting platform. And I will go ahead and let you know, Chair Pryor, once we are ready to begin.
Thank you.